Hey guys, it's TheBrokeBrick here again on the channel. We have to come back to this Lepin Chicken Hawk review, so let's dive into this and see what we're dealing with. We gotta take a look at this, but remember to smash that like button. Guys, as I was turning the camera, no joke, this is the quality that we're dealing with Lepin here on this particular set. They may have hit it with the Lego fishing store, but I'm gonna tell you, on this Millennium Falcon, they've made a total miss. Stay tuned. Alright guys, it looks like TheBrokeBrick himself is going to get his hands dirty fixing this build. As you can see, the piece popped out of here. The clutch is disastrous on this particular set and these particular molds for these bricks. And I have had several issues similar to this. If you look on the other side here, as you can see right here, I was having the same issue as I'm now having on the opposite side in this review. You can see here I was trying to actually give this a little bit of play, and this piece snapped even. So this entire section here kept popping off. Tried to just give it a little, not even a big bend or anything, and this piece directly snapped. So pretty poor quality on that regard. On each of these little pieces of greebling, and I'm trying to build one just to show you how it's supposed to be built. What you're supposed to have here is this. But when you go to snap it into these little holding pieces, what you end up with, the diameter of the rods themselves are too wide. Oh, and this one's going to work rather well. But you end up with a wonky looking thing, and that's even if it holds. Most of the time that one will fall out, that'll fall off, and you're left with just this. So on the particular build, I just ended up putting one piece in the binoculars because typically it would retain in one side of them, and then just putting those into the little clip pieces. So my greebling is not correct for the set. We got Benny. He nosedived into the front here of the Millennium Falcon. He and a couple of his buddies are going to be repairing this thing because it needs a ton of repairs. You have the satellite dish here, or radar defense. Probably not a satellite, it's a radar, right? I can't get that off. So they do give you the opposite piece to switch out, and you can go a little bit more old school. I think the older Lego set had this style, and then the newer one had this printed dish. But you get both of them on this, so that's neat. It'll spin, do its play feature here, kind of set it up any way you like. Once you actually get this thing into place, that's all good. Actually, the front of the build turned out rather well. No real issues. I did point out on a previous video that I was concerned about the clutch holding this. It's held up pretty decent, and these pieces have retained where they're supposed to be. So that's all good. We got our little guy here on the cockpit. Everything up front went in pretty nice at the end of the day. I am going to point out this issue for those that missed out part 2. So there should be a, oh, and I'm actually getting it to drop. Well, you can drop this piece, but so this piece actually dropped for a change. Inside there, well, you can see I'm not going to be able to get it up now because it's actually has some kind of issue on this particular set where the holding piece will not hold the mechanism in place. So it has a little bar piece that allows it to drop, and then it's just kind of on a pin and axle system, and then you pull it back up and it should go right up. Well, it doesn't, because those always fall out of place, then they get dislodged, and then they have issues like this where you can't place the loading dock back up. So I can't use this. I'm gonna have to tear this whole thing apart just to get this back up, because obviously I can't have it dangling down when I go to display it. It'll never stay there. It'll fall off just like it just did now. Garbage. We're gonna do an eye in the sky, guys. So all the greebling bits, they all turned out rather well, other than that binocular and rod section. Take a closer look. Overall, from afar, you would definitely confuse this with a Lego set. But if you build it, the aggravation level between the quality of pieces, their poor greebling, because don't ever try to put two of them back together after you've already put them together once. once you take them apart, they lose, I don't know how much of their clutch, but quite a bit. I'm going to guess it's a softer plastic than Lego, judging from how this particular set went together. I've put together other Lepin sets to try and stay on a budget build. And that old fishing store was impressive. But this Falcon, I don't know if it was worth the aggravation. Maybe that same thing happens with the Lego set. It's a rather large set. Lego does have its limitations. But let's take a look at the minifigures real quick. So what I've done here, guys, is I've put together two sets of minifigures. I had many of the actual Lego set minifigures, or very similar to the figures that are included with the actual UCS Falcon. Oops, we forgot a BB-8 over here on this set. Great. Now I'm not even sure which BB-8 is which BB-8. But we're going to take a look here. Get a good look at these figures. One of them is Lego. And the other one is Lepin. Now, I've heard some horror stories about Lepin quality control on figures, that they're a joke. And you're bound to start seeing differences as I flush back and forth between the cameras. We can turn them around real quick. Always losing this BB-8. Turn them around so we can look at some back prints. And guys that have the actual UCS Lego set are probably going to know, because they are going to know the difference between the fingerprints, and even if they couldn't tell the difference between the quality. But I just want to do a quick back and forth here. You guys can kind of get an idea. Have we decided? You guys pick A or B? Pick A or B and tell me which one you think is the Lepin set. So we have A, B, A, B. Which one did you guys choose? Yeah, B is the Lepin set. So what you're going to see here, some real issues with prints. Look at this mouth here. Just look at the face. That's some hilarity. Let's look at the actual Lego face. Not bad, right? Alright, so the C-3PO, he looks pretty good. You know, he's got a little bit of washout in the whites. You know, the details aren't quite as good. We got Leia. And again, it looks pretty good in the Lepin set. We got Old Man Han. Old Man Han. If I was to put these Old Man Hans side by side and do a little twirl around, I might have a problem until I took off the head and looked at which one was the actual Lego. New Han. This is from the Landspeeder set. Yeah, it's pretty good too. So overall, the figure's quality, and we got a fin here. I couldn't quite get him, and I don't have a fin. That's pretty bad. Look at that face. That looks so generic. So overall, though, the quality is decent on these prints. I wouldn't say they're stellar by any means. They certainly have their share of issues. You do get an extra porg with the Lepin set. Ooh, that's stellar. And I'll say, in terms of quality, I've had a couple issues with the head pieces, the hair pieces, but not really. That one's good, that one's good, that one's good. And the only one I had an issue was this one. She doesn't like her hair, but she has a really ugly face. So here's the $230 question, guys. Is this set worth the money? Would I buy it again? It's tough, because you have an $800 Lego set if you buy the actual Lego set, right? and you do certainly get better quality. If you are just going to build this and never touch it, maybe you could get away with the Lepin set. If you use glue, you'd absolutely be able to get over the Lepin set. But because I didn't use glue, I'm going to have to move this thing. I am deathly afraid it is not going to get into any position that I will be able to display it. This may have to be some kind of drop masterpiece on YouTube because I don't know if I'm going to keep this Lepin build. This is one that absolutely missed the mark for me. Between the poor quality of prints on some of these figures and the actual end product that I'm dealing with in terms of the build and how it will retain its clutch, I don't know if I would recommend this set even at $230 beyond if you just wanted to build it and then put it back in a box. Because you are going to get all of the build time that it takes to do the Lego set, Lego UCS set. You are going to get that build time, but are you going to be happy with the end product? I mean, for $800 to drag it out of a box and build the actual Lego set almost seems ludicrous. And I'm a huge Lego fan, but that pricing is just nuts. And here's another thing. I went and talked about how the figures were all right. I go to put this one on and Chewbacca loses his arm just by moving him. TheBrokeBrick, not happy. He's dancing on the Lepin chicken hawk here, but he is not happy. And the only thing I'm happy about is it was $230 versus $800. So I still got all that build, but I'm gonna probably drop this thing, bust up the pieces, and try to sell it secondhand for, I don't know, 2/3 what I have in it. I might get that. Lepin sets don't hold their value. There is a secondary market for them, but you're gonna sell it for 50–60% of what you got in it. And yeah, Lego, kind of the same thing, but at least I know that I got the quality with Lego. Somebody's gonna want it at some point, and I could probably display it. And this, I don't know. It's a miss. It's a miss here on TheBrokeBrick. So go by that Lepin old fishing store, but man, this thing's too massive. I think they bit off more than they could chew. Yeah, remember, smash that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next review. Just keeping it real. Save $200. And instead spend $800.